The newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. President Bongbong Marcos says there is no need for a law requiring Filipinos to get their COVID-19 vaccines and booster shots. In his latest vlog, Marcos Jr. said that while it's becoming more apparent that booster shots are helpful, individuals are still free to decide on the matter related to their own health. The president pointed out that if he hadn't been immunized with a booster shot, his recent COVID-19 infection might have been worse.
Hindi naman talaga kailangan isabatas pa ito dahil malaya pa rin tayong mamili para sa ating sariling kalusugan. Pero habang tumatagal, ay mas lumilinaw ang sinasabi ng siyensya. Ang mga datos at ang mga pag-aaral na ang pagbabakuna ay malaki ang naitutulong para sa ating kaligtasan mula sa COVID-19.
Marcos Jr. went on to encourage the public to get their booster shots. He said the government will launch a large-scale booster campaign to further reopen the economy and as preparation for in-person classes.
Sa tulong ng DOH, ng DILG, ng DepEd, isusulong ang malawakang kampanya muli para sa pagbabakuna sa booster shot. Preparasyon na rin ito sa pagbabalik ng face-to-face classes at pagluwag ng iba pang mga safety protocols. Kung magiging matagumpay ang kampanyang ito, tuloy na yan.
Meanwhile, Vice President and Education Chief Sara Duterte remains firm on the August opening of classes despite calls for its postponement. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro with the story.
Recess will soon be over. The new administration is dead set to continue with their plans to gradually transition to full face-to-face classes starting August. Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte said learners, regardless of their vaccination status, will be allowed to come to school.
There should be no segregation and discrimination for the unvaccinated learners dahil hindi naman po mandatory ang vaccination program natin.
She also said mingling between learners in schools won't be a health risk.
Paglabas naman po nila sa eskwelahan ay nagka-commingling po lahat ng vaccinated and unvaccinated natin.
But aside from vaccination, another concern brought up by teachers are the overcrowded classrooms.
Meron po tayong 50 students in a class, magkaroon tayo ng congestion, hindi natin maiwasan, hindi natin ma-impose yung establish natin ng mga protocols.
Basa said this is especially concerning for those in public schools, where a small classroom is occupied by up to 100 students. But the Vice President said that this can be addressed.
Gumagawa kami ngayon ng department order na mag-streamline ng requests ng construction ng classroom na implementable kaagad.
Despite calls from teachers groups to delay the start of the school year this August, Duterte said plans are still status quo, given that we have enough strategies in place to keep physical learning safe against COVID-19. But not all schools have such privilege. In fact, the Alliance of Concerned Teachers said many schools in outlying provinces don't even have a source of clean running water. Still, the Education Secretary said there are feasible alternatives.
Alcohol is always an option and an alternative. Doon naman po sa symptoms checking, nilagay po natin yun doon sa department order na ang parents po dapat ang mag-check sa kanilang mga anak.
Duterte assured parents that it is safe to go back to schools and that physical classes is long overdue given the big learning loss caused by the pandemic. But in case a student gets sick, blended learning will be an option. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro, we are One News.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Saudi Arabia's crown prince has been pouring billions into a sci-fi inspired mega city called Neom. But things aren't going quite as planned 5 years into the development. Let's watch this.
In the desert of Saudi Arabia, between jagged mountains and the brilliant Red Sea, lies a city of the future, or at least an idea for a city of the future.
I've been following Saudi Arabia's plans to build a futuristic region called Neom for more than 5 years. It's a beautiful area, but 5 years in, there's still not much to see besides the scenery.
The $500 billion project covers an area the size of Belgium.
It's the brainchild of 36-year-old Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, sometimes called MBS. It's essentially a state within a state, built from scratch and inspired by science fiction. It's surrounded by desert, but officials say that by 2030, it will be powered solely by renewable energy and be home to potentially millions of people. MBS wants Neom to diversify the kingdom's economy, incubate new technologies, and essentially revolutionize urban life. That's a tall order, even for a near absolute ruler with access to a $620 billion sovereign wealth fund. Neom's executives say that they've been busy developing their strategy for a whole new society and that they'll start the deep construction this year. You can see that they've begun groundwork in several areas, and there are tens of thousands of laborers all over the site. There are also around 2,000 white-collar employees from all over the world who live in a temporary housing camp surrounded by barbed wire. It's a long way away from the cyberpunk-infused ideas that Neom's worked on with Hollywood production designers and international architects who've drawn up plans for things like flying vehicles and a giant cube-shaped void inside of a mountain.
So what will be the future of such a futuristic vision?
Over the past few years, dozens of key staff members have quit Neom, complaining of a toxic work environment, fantastical demands, and wild overspending. The Crown Prince's crackdown on dissent has also spooked some investors, and a contested relocation process for many of the local inhabitants of the area has devolved into violence and arrests. It's hard to say what Neom will look like in 5 or 10 years, given these challenges. Its supporters say that Dubai was mocked too before it became a major global hub. Its critics say that it's hubris, the work of a repressive autocrat intent on building his legacy.
Let's now take a quick look at today's other top stories. Another major oil price rollback is expected in the coming days. Unioil projects that gasoline prices would go down by up to 4 pesos and 80 centavos per liter, while per liter prices of diesel could be slashed by as much as 2 pesos and 10 centavos. Octa Research Group flags rising COVID-19 positivity rates in several areas. In Metro Manila, the figure climbed to 12.6% as of July 15, up from 10.9% the previous week. Some areas like Aklan and Tarlac saw over 20% positivity rates, well above the international threshold of 5%. And Pag-asa says several parts of Visayas and Mindanao will experience scattered rain showers and thunderstorms due to the southwest monsoon or habagat. Rains are also expected in Metro Manila and the rest of the country due to localized thunderstorms. The Weather Bureau has warned of possible flash floods or landslides. And for more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.